There has been an explosion in hatred against British Jews. Anti-Semitic incidents in the UK increased to record levels last year. Joining me to discuss this in more detail is Gary Mond, chairman of the National Jewish Assembly. Gary, do our leaders take anti-Semitism seriously enough? I know James Cleverly has come out today and said the government is going to put in place the protections that need to be there to protect the Jewish community, of which I think it's important to say there's only 250,000 now in the UK. But should the government be doing more?
I think we want to see the hate marches that take place regularly on Saturdays banned, and we need to see the police take far more action against the culprits who are constantly making anti-Semitic slogans on those marches, and we want to see the police take further action. To answer your question directly, I do think that the leaders of our main political parties do mean well, but there is more to be done, and the Jewish community is extremely fearful about the situation at present. Indeed, in some cases, they even feel terrorised.
Just so, Gary, I knew what it is. I went to Golders Green with TalkTV not long after the October the 7th, the attack, and I've got to say, I used to live there years ago, and I've got to say, it felt sinister on the streets. You could feel the kind of like the atmosphere was charged, isn't the only way I can think to put it. People were scared to talk to us. It was, and I thought, I'm on the streets of Britain. It was I've never felt like that on any street. And I was raised in Toxteth in Liverpool during the Toxteth riots. I could not, I lived in Toxteth, I never felt that feeling then as I did when I walked on the streets of Golders Green back in October, November last year. Can you just tell me, what is it like for Jewish people in their communities at the moment? Are they fearful? Are they okay about going outdoors? What's it like day to day?
They're definitely fearful, and they're aware that anti-Semitism is a light sleeper. And what is also happening is anti-Semitism has actually been morphing in recent years. In the old days, it used to be far-right, Nazi-style people who would scream about Jews. That's declined somewhat. We now see two other sources of anti-Semitism, which the community is well aware of. Firstly, there's the far-left anti-Semitism, which has tended to emanate from the Corbyn years as the leadership of the Labour Party in those days. And a lot of people are very worried that if there's going to be a Labour government, the due diligence that has been done on the prospective parliamentary candidates for Labour is lacking, as has been the case of Mr. Ali and Mr. Jones in the last few days, has been made very public. And then you've got another form of anti-Semitism. You've got Islamist, fundamentalist Islamic anti-Semitism, which has very much been on the rise in recent years and has strained relations between the Jewish and the Muslim communities. I'm not saying all Muslims hate Jews, far from it, but I am saying that there is a strain within the Muslim community of fundamentalist Islam, which the Jewish community is well aware of and very fearful about.
So I remember in Liverpool there was a strong Jewish community in Liverpool, which has totally diminished now. And I was aware many years ago, everybody was, that there was an anti-Semitic vein in Labour in Liverpool many years ago. And people deny this to me. They say, no, anti-Semitism is a new thing with Jeremy Corbyn in the Labour Party. Something just doesn't arrive overnight like that, does it? One person just doesn't suddenly make a political party. And as you said, a light sleeper, I think it was always there. With Jeremy Corbyn, it just got a platform. It just came alive. It woke up. Do you agree?
Well, the history, I was going to say the history of this goes back probably 50 years. It started, the left initially, when the State of Israel was formed in probably the 20 to 30 years following, was not hostile to Israel or the Jewish community. However, in 1977, Menachem Begin, who was a right-winger, was elected Prime Minister of Israel. The left, slowly but surely, all over the world, started to turn against Israel. And you tend to find, over a long period of time, when Israel becomes very unpopular, and indeed even hated by different groups, that tends to morph into anti-Semitism. And that is what has happened over the last 40 or so years.
So what would be how do we reduce anti-Semitism in the UK? You talked about stopping the marches on a Saturday, but that doesn't answer the fundamental problem. It's just it's not the cause, it's the It's not the symptom, it's not the reason why the anti-Semitism is there, it's just an outward expression of it. What do we do to deal with the fundamental problem of anti-Semitism?
There are two main areas of action that we can look at. Firstly, the entire education system needs to be, firstly, we want to see Holocaust education improved. We also want to see a system of tuition whereby young people get to realize and have to understand that we all have to get on together in a community, and there is absolutely no room for any form of hatred. That's very important. The second area where we can perhaps improve matters is look more closely at the law, look more closely at how we can more easily prosecute Jew haters. And by the way, I do like the word Jew hate, well, rather, I hate the expression, but Jew haters is a more appropriate term to use these days than anti-Semitism, or both are often used interchangeably.
So that's really interesting. I think it's worth giving a shout out here to the Holocaust Educational Trust, who've done
yes, Karen Pollock in particular, she's fantastic, the chief executive there.
Amazing, known Karen for many years, and she's done fantastic work in schools. And so I take your point.
She's one of our community's heroes.
Yeah.
Really.
No, she is. And I mean, I think she's probably kept a lot of anti-Semitism at bay in various, through her organisation. But do you think that the government could support the Holocaust Educational Trust more and get more out into schools? Or should it be part of the government's fundamental curriculum?
Everyone should support the Holocaust Education Trust. I personally do, and my family do. I would like to see more resources devoted to the HET so that they have the ability to carry out their mission much more thoroughly than they are at the present. They're doing very well at the present, don't get me wrong, but I'm simply saying that with more resources, they can do more, and they're the people to do so.
So, Gary, I want to show you a clip. You know, as I've never seen a Christian in the UK asked to put their cross away, but I'd just like to show you a clip of something that took place, I think it was in Edinburgh. So, could we play a clip of someone being asked?
If people will see your star, which I appreciate that you feel pity with, they will just get very, very angry. Okay, so I'm just making you aware that I might trigger the people, because obviously I understand you're sitting at the different sides of the fence. That's my only concern. Okay, that the star will set them off and they'll cause an argument. There's only 3 of us here. It might be difficult for us to manage the situation.
I don't plan to argue or engage with anyone.
No,
and it is my religion. I am Jewish.
Yeah.
So I don't see a problem with showing my Judaism.
I don't see a problem with that as well. You're showing the sign of your religion, what you believe in. That's absolutely fine. I'm sure you can appreciate that for them, for the...
It triggers them.
It triggers them, yes.
Right.
And that's my concern.
So I can see both sides of this story. So one I totally offended by is that a bystander was asked to hide his Star of David should he, in case it caused incitement and riled the rioters. The policeman was saying there's only a few of us here. I can understand it from his perspective. He didn't want to inflame that situation. He wanted to keep the man safe. He wanted to keep the police officers safe. But by the same token, anybody on the streets of Britain should be able to walk around wearing a Christian cross or a Star of David. Okay, what's your take on that, on what happened?
2 points. Firstly, I fear that we've crossed something of a red line when a Jew, or for that matter, a representative of any other religion, can't display their identity in this completely harmless fashion that they wish to do so. That is crossing a red line. It's unheard of in our society before, and I'm deeply worried about it. The second point relates to the police. The police need to be trained better to handle this situation, and the government needs to put more resources into the police. I've heard this story before, and I gather there were very few police there to be able to handle matters. We want to see greater resources put into the police, and possibly better training as well, so that they're able to handle these difficult situations in a more satisfactory manner.
So, and that was Scotland. It wasn't the UK in England. We do have more police officers. I think it was 19,000 last year. More police officers out on our streets. Scotland, I think the situation is different.
the situation is worse in Scotland. I'm actually going up on the 3rd of March to Glasgow for an anti-Semitism rally on this very matter. And even in England, yes, the situation is different, and it's not probably quite so bad, but still much more can be done. We must never have this type of situation happening in our society.
That's
Never.
very true. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, and good luck on your
Thank you for
visit
having
to
me.
Glasgow. It's lovely to talk to you.